Today we're going to be going over a method that will help us solve word problems. The method that I'm going to be using today is called RIDGES. Each letter stands for a step in the process. So let's read through them. R is read the problem, I is I know statement, D is draw picture, G is goal statement, and goal statement is basically talking about figuring out what we need to solve in our problem. E is equation development, and S is solve the equation. So let's do our first step, which is read the problem. The school's baseball team had 8 new players and 2 returning players. If the coach put them into groups with 5 players in each group, how many groups would there be? So let's go back to RIDGES and look at our next step. It's the I know statement. So we need to go back to our problem and figure out what we know. Well, we know that there's 8 new players and there's 2 returning players and the coach wants them in groups of 5. So let's go back to RIDGES and see what's next. Draw a picture. So I'm going to draw a picture of the players. So we know that there's 8 new players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We know that there's 2 returning players. 1, 2. So these lines represent our baseball team. Let's go back to RIDGES. Goal statement. So goal statement is basically figuring out what we need to solve. And so our problem wants to know how many groups of 5 the coach can have. So now we need to develop an equation. So we need to add the total amount of players together. So we're going to do 8 plus 2. So we're going to do addition the fast way and count on from 8. So 8, 9, 10. So we know that there's 10 players total. So now we know that there's going to be 10 players and there needs to be 5 players in each group. So we're going to do 10 divided by 5. Now we can divide if we want to for our next step, which is solve the equation. Or we can go back to our picture and make it a little bit simpler and count off into groups of 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So now we know that 10 divided by 5 is going to be 2. So we know that there are going to be 2 groups of 5 on the baseball team. So now we're going to do a different problem and still use RIDGES to help us solve what's next, solve our new problem. So now let's read the problem. Molly has 9 dolls. Her mom gave her 3 new ones. Molly wants to make groups with 3 dolls in each group. How many groups can Molly make? So let's go and look at make our I know statement. So I know that Molly started out with 9 dolls. And I know that Molly's mom gave her 3 new dolls. And I know that Molly wants the groups for the dolls to be in groups of 3. So let's go back to our RIDGES and figure out what's next. Draw a picture. So again, I'm going to draw a picture that represents how many dolls there are. Now Molly started out with 9 dolls. So let's draw some lines for dolls. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 lines represent the 9 dolls Molly initially started out with. And then I know that Molly's mom gave her 3 more. So I'm going to draw 1 more lines. 1, 2, 3. So these lines represent the amount of dolls Molly has. So now let's go back to RIDGES and we need a goal statement. So we need to figure out how many groups of 3 can be made with Molly's dolls. Now let's develop our equation. So we need to add together the 9 dolls that Molly initially started out with the 3 dolls that her mom gave her. So we need to do 9 plus 3. Now I'm going to count on from 9. 9. So 9, 10, 11, 12. So Molly has 12 dolls total. So we need to take our number 12 and divide it by 3 because we're making groups of 3 for our dolls. So now we're on to solve the equation. Now we can divide, or we can reference our picture and break them off into groups of 3 to help us get our answer. So why don't we do that? So I'm going to count off and make groups of 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. So I know that there will be 4 groups of 3. So I know that 12 divided by 3 equals 4.